Hi friends, Ashley from Wildwoods&Homestead. I made another video over the course of a couple of days and kind of brought you guys along with us through some meals and some harvesting and just some chores and activities that we have going on around the homestead. And one of the things I am starting with is a Saturday morning breakfast, and I had some leftover potatoes that I needed to fry up or do something with. So instead of actually just standing over my stove cooking potatoes, I decided to just get my cast iron pan down and chop those potatoes up and put them in it with some butter. Normally I would have heated that skillet before adding what I was cooking, but I had been up a bit that night with my baby and I was feeling pretty tired, so I sort of took a lazy approach to it, and it actually turned out really well. Once I got those potatoes cut up and in the cast iron pan with some butter and salt and pepper, I just put that into a 400-degree oven, and then I went to sit and enjoy my coffee and nurse a little bit. After that, I added some eggs, and I let my daughter shred some cheese and add some cheese to that too. And I just took the skillet from my oven with my potatoes in it, put it right on my stove, heated it, and then added my eggs and then my cheese. And that was our breakfast, and it was just pretty low-key and pretty easy to do. Lastly, I just added some plain Greek yogurt to the finished scrambled eggs and potatoes. And I've actually never done this before, but we had been having scrambled eggs and putting plain Greek yogurt in lieu of sour cream on them, along with guacamole or avocado. So I just thought, I'm going to take some of this sour cream and mix it in with the eggs and the potatoes just to add some protein and just see how the flavor works. And it actually worked out really well, so I just thought I would share that too. Something else that I do on the weekends is I will roast 2 chickens. This just sets me up for the week to add the chickens and make chicken stock and use it for meals, for soups, casseroles, or chicken salad. This year we have been trying our hands at raising meat birds. We would like to raise our own meat animals, just like our vegetables and as much of our food as we can. This year, though, we're having a bit of trouble. It's the first year trying meat birds, and we've recently had a grizzly bear get into our birds, and I just shared a couple of photos here. He pushed against the door, he dug in around their door to try to get in. He's already been in once, and he ate several of our chickens, so it's been a little bit discouraging trying to raise our own meat animals, and we're still learning and working that out. But because I do that with the chickens every weekend and it's something that we eat regularly, we're still going to keep trying our hand at that. And then something else I was doing this day, which is pretty much every day, is soap. And I had these bars already cut, and I'm just sharing just how I just simply bevel the sides. I just think that that makes the soap nicer to handle, and it looks a lot prettier than just a raw cut. So that was something that I was working on. And then we are also working on our tea harvest, but along with that, I also harvest my own flowers and petals to decorate the tops of my soaps. So I had the dehydrator full of those on this day, and I needed to get those out so that we could put more teas in, because we gather all of our teas that we want for the winter. This tea in particular is actually a fireweed tea, but it is called Ivan chai because you roll the tea and you ferment it and then you dry it, and it's supposed to be very nutritious. It's supposed to be very all around good for you, and so that's a tea that I could share sometime, the way that we harvest it and roll it and ferment it and then dry it. And then I'm just taking care of my cast iron skillet here. I had not gotten to that after breakfast yet. My kids have been doing such a great job helping out with the cleanup But my daughter was away at horse camp. Normally she takes care of the cast iron for me, but she was gone this day. And in fact, on this day we were going to pick her up, and I was pretty excited because I had not seen her all week. So I was sort of rushing through some things to be able to get to town to pick her up when they arrived. Something else that I'm just sharing is my cast iron skillet bar. And this bar contains beeswax and tallow, as well as cocoa butter and coconut oil. And these are all great oils to season your cast iron. You can use anything that you want really to season cast iron. You don't need to use these specific oils. They're just the ones that I have found that work really well. So I just wanted to put that in there. So far that seems to be one of my more popular items, and I just wanted to share how I use that. And then that morning I had asked my kids to go out and gather dandelion greens. We have a spot in the front of our house where we had our chickens on it last year, and this year the entire spot is just so beautifully grown up with some sunflowers and dandelion greens. We do plan to do something with that area, but for this year it's just resting. But I did want to take the opportunity to get some of those dandelion greens so that we could dehydrate them and crumble them up and use them in some of our multivitamin teas that we like to collect from around the homestead for our winter. Something else we're currently doing is harvesting carrots. We planted a lot of carrots this year and they're doing really well. So they're all pretty close together, so we'll go out and just harvest a few for suppers or snacks or something like that to try to thin them out and get some larger carrots to grow there. And I had wanted to make coleslaw on this day, so I figured that we would go out to the garden and get some carrots to add to that. I'm just sharing this little area over here. This is just kind of a makeshift little pond for the ducks, not even a pond, like a little pool. Someday we do hope to do a dugout, and in my last video I had mentioned dugout, and I realized that maybe not everybody knows what a dugout is, and it's just digging it's just like a small pond, and in northern Alberta, I don't know if other places refer to it as that, but it's referred to as a dugout. And for now, Geoff just has that temporary little tank somebody gave us, and we fill it up, and the ducks just really enjoy that. But we do hope to do a dugout and have them fenced in over in that area just for the ducks. And then we're continuing our berry harvest, and because I find that canning is a little bit overwhelming for me because it's not something I grew up doing and it's not something that I know a whole lot about, but I know that if I stop and try to take the time to figure it out while I'm also trying to rush and get the rest of the summer chores done that we need to get done, I know that I won't get everything harvested. So what I have been doing is we just go around on the days that we can and we harvest our Saskatoon berries, wash them, and then I just lay them out on a parchment sheet and dry them so that they'll dry individually instead of in a clump, and then I put those in a plastic bag and label them. That way we have those frozen in those Ziploc bags for winter days when we are not working outside as much, and we can take the time to properly maybe make some jellies or jams, can them, or just have them in the freezer to use them in cobblers or pies. I find that to be really nice for the winter. And then I was just washing up the carrots that we had gotten from the garden and adding them to a coleslaw for Geoff's birthday the next day. And I have shared this coleslaw recipe before. It's really easy, and it's just onion, cabbage, carrots. It could be, you could add anything that you wanted to it. I just had green cabbage and then of course our carrots. I have my little kitty up on the table there. That is not something I normally let her do, but she was so cute that day. So I thought, well, that's your carrot. Okay, kitty? But I'm used to always having my kids up with me. We all just really enjoy being in the kitchen and cooking together. So on this day, that's kind of just how the day was going. Anyway, for this coleslaw, it's really easy. It's just mayonnaise, and I don't make my own mayo. I just use this Chosen Foods mayo that I purchased at Costco. I just use the entire jar. I think it's about a quart of it. I will pour some apple cider vinegar in that, shake it up like I just showed, add some salt, some pepper, some mustard, and I will do honey, but I think I just added some organic sugar on this day, and whisk that up as my dressing and pour it over my carrots and my cabbage, and then mix it all together. And I love this because it makes a lot, and I mean, it can make a little if you want it to, that's okay too. But for us, I just do a huge bowl of it, cover it, put it in the fridge, and then it's ready for the next couple of days to add to lunches, or if we do a get together or something like that. And then the next day was Geoff's birthday, and I was going to share his recipe for making coffee, but he was already through the middle of it. He makes a delicious coffee. It's so good. So sometime I will actually share how he does that. It's really frothy and nice. And I think we were kind of just wanting to go sit and enjoy our coffee that morning. So I didn't share all of that, how he does it, but I will share that in another video. Okay, now I'm just sharing this Swiss meringue buttercream. Normally when I make a cake, I just use I do a regular buttercream, but that also requires powdered sugar, and I don't like to buy powdered sugar, and buying organic powdered sugar is quite expensive. Or something I'll do is I will just grind my own sugar in my blend tech, but that can be a little bit tedious. I love this recipe because you don't need powdered sugar. You can just use whatever sugar that you have. So I just used an organic one. And you start by separating your egg yolks from your egg whites, and I was showing my daughter how to do this. I just do it with the egg shell. I know there are a lot of opinions out there on how to separate egg yolks and egg whites. I just do it with the shell, and I always do it in a separate cup like I had just shown, because I showed that my daughter, she did make a little mistake and crack the whole egg and it fell in there. So it's really good if you have a separate bowl. It does make a little bit more it does make more dishes, but if you get even a little bit of the egg yolk in your egg whites, you won't be able to whisk them up into a nice stiff meringue. And then we just added our egg whites to a double boiler, but before we did that, we added our sugar and whisked that to kind of just start dissolving the sugar. And then we cooked the egg whites over a steam double boiler, steam bath, I guess. And we cooked it to about 165. This is actually not my recipe. I will share the recipe in the description box. I'm just showing how we made it. I think the next time I'll do it, this is the second time I've done it, and I think last time what I did was I just did the double boiler method with my KitchenAid mixer bowl instead of cooking my egg whites in a separate glass bowl and then transferring it to the KitchenAid bowl. I just found that the egg whites really stuck to the sides, and it was difficult for me to get it all out and then into the stand mixer. But then once we had it in the stand mixer, they whipped up beautifully. And then we added our butter, and butter is like the enemy of a meringue, and normally it will get really soupy. And so that's why I've always failed at making this recipe until I tried John Cannell's recipe over at Preppy Kitchen. And I will put the link to his recipe in the description box. But this is the second time we did it, and I was really expecting it to fail this time once we started to add the butter, but it did not. It just, it whipped up so beautifully. It tasted delicious. All that sugar was nicely dissolved, and it's just a really simple, decadent icing that looks really fancy. And I just wanted to share us making that and decorating Geoff's cake, and I so appreciate you guys joining us.